Line of fire is simply defined as being in harm's way, and it's one of the most deadly hazards that we run into across the oil and gas industry every day in our activities. Because of the severity of the consequences that are related to accidents that involve line of fire, XTO has identified it as its own standalone life-saving action. But we do recognize that it often overlaps with other life-saving actions in our work activities. It is incredibly important for our workers to recognize when they are placing themselves in harm's way when they are performing any task on site. I want to take a moment to review a clip from the Lifting and Rigging 1 video, where there's a really great example of line of fire issues being properly identified and mitigated during the discussions. Then let's review a few other scenarios for different life-saving actions where line of fire was integrated into the work activities as well as the pre-job discussions.
All right guys, we got our lifting strap snug. Before we lift this, let's cover our red zone. Doug, you're kind of tight over there, so you're going to be red zoned down the whole side. So if you could take your tag line, kind of stand in the back. We'll let him pull this back past you, so you're on this side. I don't want you between the machine and the lift. Justin, if I could get you to hold on to your tag line on the other side of those flanges. We want to keep you out of the red zone and out of the line of fire. Now you'll have a clear path down the side, same as Doug. Let's wait till he's past you with the unit. So whenever we lift this, guys, we want to make sure the machine's doing the work. You should not have to be overexerting yourself side to side. We're just kind of steering it. If it seems like it's unbalanced or wants to go one way or the other, let's reset it down and reset. Maybe have to re-tie out, all right?
All right, guys. Robert and Edgar, they're gonna be working at heights, making up a flange. You have spotters, make sure nobody crosses our no-go zones, and you keep everybody out of the line of fire as they're working up there. You know, we don't want them to get hurt with falling tools and any falling equipment or parts that could injure them.
All right, Andrew, we know the pig is here. We've isolated there, we've isolated here. Let's go ahead and blow this barrel down. Remember when we taking these bull plugs out, watch for line of fire. There was a time whenever a guy took for granted that the pressure was released. He blew his hard hat off. It could have been a real bad situation. It was a close call.
Okay.
Here you go, buddy. All right, you ready?
Ready.
All right. All right, again, line of fire. We know that we're blown down, but don't take for granted that there's not pressure trapped behind the pig. Whenever you open this door, make sure you stay clear. Push it away from you, stay out of the way. I'll get out of the way until the door is open.
Gotcha.
And then we'll go from there. All right, man, good job. You stayed out of the line of fire. Let's go get the puller and get that pig out of there.
Those were some great examples of line of fire and how they're part of each task that we do. It's also why it's so important that line of fire becomes second nature in any activity.
That's a good point. Line of fire is in every task that we do. The most simplest task, the most routine task that we do on a daily basis, line of fire comes into play. The easy task of changing out a coupling on a pump, going to take the guard off, knowing and understanding that if my wrench were to slip, I've got momentum behind it and where am I going to go? We talk a lot in Safe Choice about triggers that get us out of fast thinking and into slow thinking. The last minute risk assessment is a great tool to use to step back, identify what we're about to do, and know and understand where the line of fire issue might be.
Effective communication is a key component of line of fire when working with others. When we arrive on a work location, ensuring that we know what other activities are occurring on that site is the first thing we should do. Making eye contact with equipment operators before we enter their work areas. Ensuring that their hands are off the controls before you enter those zones. Establishing no-go zones prior to the work commencing to ensure nobody enters that area unknowingly. Understanding what other activities are going on at that time is essential to preventing line of fire incidents.
Eye contact, utilizing a spotter, is all great tools to use when working with others, like Mike said. But unfortunately, we've had some fatalities that were just in routine tasks. Unfortunately, we did have a truck driver and his helper putting in a trailer hitch in the back of his truck while it was running and them not communicating, and ultimately resulting in him getting ran over being behind the truck. We've also had the fatality of a pumping unit gearbox move where, a guy was in the line of fire and he had workers around him that possibly could have intervened to say, look, hey, you might not be in the right spot because of a suspended load in which, a shift that it might make. We don't need to be in certain areas. Tear down of a drilling rig. We've had some incidents that have all been a line of fire situation. That's why this is such an elevated topic that we really need to make sure we get right in everything that we do.
Because when we get line of fire right, tragic incidents like Wes talked about don't occur.
Wes discussed the concept of fast thinking, which is something we learned during our Safe Choice training. And I want to remind you of another concept, which is that of present motivation. Being fully aware and engaged as you step onto a work site of the potential hazards around you. Take some time, sit with your work teams, and have a really good discussion around the day's activities and where line of fire hazards may come into play. By having a detailed discussion, we'll be able to make sure that both you and your team members remain out of harm's way.